Explain to me why y'all are so upset at the people who are not interested in eating at Red Lobster and Olive Garden. Do y'all have stock or something in Darden restaurants? Like, girl, what's going on?
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
So what's up, y'all? I've had enough. I've had it. I am so sick of this conversation on social media every other month about why people do not like Olive Garden, Ruth Chris, Seasons 52, Cheesecake Factory, and Red Lobster. Like, people are upset that folks are not interested in eating anymore. And we see this, I see this tweet every once in a while on Twitter where someone, just dragging folks for, well, y'all forgot y'all roots, y'all forgot where y'all came from. I don't know why y'all think y'all too good for Olive Garden and Red Lobster. It's not the fact that we think we're too good. It's the fact that I know better places with better quality food. As a person who used to work at Red Lobster, Olive Garden, and a couple of other restaurants, I have become a fan of local owned restaurants versus going to chain restaurants. So this is the tweet that started the whole conversation. Before social media, Olive Garden, Red Lobster, Cheesecake Factory were all considered solid places to eat. Somehow now everyone hates those places. Y'all be acting for the internet. I don't think it's acting at all. I think it's multiple things that are going on. But before social media, we didn't know of any local owned restaurants that could be as good as the Olive Garden and the Red Lobster. Like, we just didn't know that much. Like, just the other day I was on Instagram and I saw this video of the best dessert restaurants in Atlanta, and one of them is a soft serve dessert restaurant that serves ice cream called Big Softy. It's in Summer Hill, Atlanta. It's really, really good. I've been there a couple of times. I took my parents there this past weekend and they loved it. They had some vegan ice cream. One of the best places I've been for ice cream or whatever. Social media has given us more access to other restaurants and stuff. We just didn't know any better. We would see advertisement for Olive Garden, Red Lobster on TV. We would watch our shows and stuff, and we will see advertisement for all of these restaurants, all these chain restaurants. And now we're seeing a difference in versus how we use social media. We're seeing folks go to these restaurants oh, I've never heard of it. I can't tell you how many times I've saved a place from somebody checking in or showing a picture of the food. I had a friend that was in LA who went to this restaurant on top of the mountain or some shit. We're in LA or something. And I was like, this food looked good. I went and checked in. I went and checked it out, and I was like, okay, I want to go there when I go to LA. I went to LA, and the restaurant was really, really good. So that happens. I'm not gonna go to a chain restaurant, an Outback Steakhouse in LA, and there's an Outback Steakhouse in Atlanta. Why would I go somewhere where I can get the same food in my city? It makes no sense. That was the beginning stage for me. My mother taught me, you don't go to a restaurant that you can go to in your home. You can choose different stuff, learn some different things in the area. That's the purpose of traveling. I'm not going all the way to Florida to eat at the Olive Garden. I'm going to look at a restaurant that's serving seafood that's local and fresh or something. And I've always had good experiences with local owned restaurants. Now, I'm not saying that you can't eat at, Cheesecake Factory, Olive Garden, all that other stuff. I, every once in a while, would have, but it's probably once a year or something. Now, my favorite place is Miss Chili's. Chili's got a hold on me. 2 for $20, 2 for 1 margaritas, frozen margaritas is that girl. I would go, if it was one closer, but the closest one is 30 minutes from me. So I'm not going to drive 30 minutes just so I can get on social media and say, I went to Chili's. I am not a suburban girl anymore. I know better places that serve, bar food like Chili's that are better. I know a whole bunch of locally owned restaurants in my area that the food is fresher, it's better, and it's not frozen. A lot of these restaurants don't even prepare their food as much as they used to because they cut a lot of costs to save money. Cheddar Bay biscuits don't taste the same as they did 10, 20 years ago. Red Lobster might have, the same recipe, but they're using different type of ingredients because they want to save money. They want to increase their profits. That's happened. I used to work at Red Lobster. I used to work at Olive Garden. I've been in Olive Garden and seen how they went from not serving fries to serving fries. Like, I thought this was authentic, Italian, like da-da-da. Then I'm looking at, like, now I'm like, oh girl, this is not giving. Like, girl, there's some stuff that Olive Garden serves that they don't even tell you can't even eat that. They like girl, we don't serve that in chicken Alfredo. What the hell is that? We don't serve this in Italy. What the hell is that? And it doesn't mean that the food is bad. It doesn't mean that you're less than because you eat it, because food is food. Like, if the food is good, it's good. But I've had better food at local owned restaurants, and also Darden Restaurants is not the best company to work for. The way they treat their employees is complete trash. When the Affordable Health Care Act was about to go into place, Olive Garden, a lot of restaurants started to change how things were so they can keep from like offering health insurance to their full-time employees. So Olive Garden changed it where if you averaged at least 30 hours or more a week, you were considered full-time. But if you average under that, you were considered part-time. So this was the way that Darden was doing it to keep folks from getting full-time benefits. Like, they just like, hey, if you're not averaging 30 hours plus, we're not going to be offering you those things. And a lot of restaurants, a lot of companies did that. So I don't understand why people are getting online to defend these multi-billion-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies for the sake of the culture or whatever culture we think we have access to. These companies are owned by capitalists. They're owned like by major capitalists who are interested in increasing profit. They're not interested in making sure the food tastes good. They're going to use the cheapest option to bring them the most dollars. There is nothing wrong with going to Olive Garden, Red Lobster, Cheesecake Factory, Ruth Chris, Seasons 52, and so on and so forth. If that's what you want, go get it. But if I'm somebody who is going for the taste of food, I love food. I love to eat. I love to taste the food. If it's good quality, I'm gonna be able to tell. Went to a steak restaurant called Marcel last weekend. Enjoyed it. I love my steaks medium rare, period. I like my steaks medium rare. That's the only way I eat them. I'm not going to get no steak medium rare at no Outback Steakhouse. I'm just not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that because I know Outback Steakhouse is not like looking for quality beef to serve their customers. They're looking for what's the cheapest and who can, like, girl, this is diddle do. That place, Marcel, baby, the steak was $200. It was worth it. So the place was so good, let me tell you, that I would go get it to go. I would go get it to go. The lobster risotto my dad had was delicious. I had a dry aged steak. That server came to the table and said that there's a difference between some folks' dry aged steak and ours. Like, ours is authentically dry aged. Some people, say it's dry aged, but they moisturize the steak with some water or whatever to speed up the process. And like this, I'm going for the experience. If I'm going to a restaurant, I'm going for the experience and for the good food. If I want Olive Garden, I can go to Publix and buy a bag of frozen pasta and throw some garlic powder on it and enjoy it. Like, I'm not going to Olive Garden to sit up here and make you feel better about you still wanting to go because your taste buds are still where they are. And it's not a bad thing because some of these restaurants are very expensive. Like, I get it. People go where they can afford or whatever. And I don't want it to turn into an elitist thing because I see that when some folks act like they're too good or whatever. But for me, as a person who loves quality, it's not about it being cheap. It's about it not being good. Like, these restaurants, a lot of these chain restaurants overwork their employees. They mess their employees over. And I have stories. I've experienced stories. Local owned restaurants, you can literally tell the vibe of the servers. They know the owner. They know the manager who's been working there 20 years. Like, the camaraderie is there. Like, it is like, it's like the girls like being there. Like, it's not, oh, I can't wait to get off work. I can't, because that's the energy was when I worked at Olive Garden, because it was just terrible. Like, it was just terrible how they worked us. They barely paid us. Like, girl, we was not getting paid. We were surviving off of tips. And then some of the folks were not tipping. And Olive Garden, like, used to work the hell out of us. They used to work the hell out of Red Lobster. We used to have to do all type of crazy stuff. Like, for a bare minimum, like most servers get paid $2.13 an hour plus tips. And that has not changed for a long time. So I'm like Olive Garden and other restaurants take advantage of that. Like, they do that. Like, I think Olive Garden used to do a thing, I don't know if they still do it now. You clocked in before 10 o'clock. If you clocked in before 11 o'clock, you were paid minimum wage, which was $7.25 or whatever it was in your state or whatever. And like, you would get paid that for that 1 hour. But they had us come in at 11 o'clock. Purposely. Like, to have us come in at 11 o'clock, you know, do up, set up, and whatever, because they didn't even want to give us that $7.25 or that half, or if we came in early. Like, it's just, these companies are interested in making profit. They are not interested in making us happy and providing us good quality food. That's another thing. Like, we've learned that a lot of these foods are processed. And some of us is like, hey, I don't want to be eating so much processed food. And I can tell the difference when I go to certain restaurants and eat versus when I go somewhere else. There's certain, like, I only get meat from certain places. I only get my meat from certain places. I'm not going to this place I'm not buying no meat from Walmart. Sorry, I know folks have to, but I'm thankful that I'm in a place where I don't have to. But some people, that's the reality. So we need to be having a bigger conversation about how folks who are poorer do not have access to good quality food. But I just don't trust Walmart because Walmart overworks their employees. Therefore, they're not going to take care of the product and stuff. Like, people put frozen meats on the side and all the other stuff. Walmart employees are worked down to the bone. Do you think these folks are out here like, oh, this been out for 2 hours, we need to go throw it in the garbage? No, they are putting it back on the thing. They put it back in the freezer. Like, my dad was here a couple of months ago, bought some meat and stuff to cook for the 4th or whenever that was, and literally we could not eat it because it was funky. Like, the meat was not good. I am not doing that. So it is what it is. But I ain't got to the point where I could go to a butcher to go get like some good quality meat. I ain't got to that point. Now, plus I don't cook like that. But you know, when you experience different things, you want different things. So yes, Olive Garden Red Lobster was like the shining jewel when you didn't know anything. Like, oh my gosh, like Red Lobster, you know, when your parents took you, you was like, this is it. When your parents took you, you felt like this was fine dining. You felt like, because that was what Olive Garden and a lot of these restaurants was trying to show. But girl, I went to the Olive Garden I worked at not too long ago. They still have the same furniture, the same dirt is still on the furniture. They have not cleaned that place up. It looks terrible. It looks terrible. Like, Olive Garden doesn't even provide like uniforms for their employees. You have to buy your own shirt and your own pants. It's like, girl, I'm wasting sauce and all this stuff. I'm not making that much money. The tips that I'm barely getting, I got to go buy more shirts and stuff. You want me to look clean and presentable? It's like, I don't have any money. I'm barely surviving here. So there's so many reasons why people do not go to these restaurants. I will say there are some folks, the elitism does jump out when they describe the restaurants and stuff like it's low class, whatever. And that's trash. That's messed up. I don't like folks like that. But for me, it is because of the quality of food. I'm a big seafood person. Red Lobster doesn't offer oysters. I love oysters. I'm not eating oysters from certain places because oysters are raw food. Like, I want someone to be able to like go to a restaurant where folks are making sure that they're getting quality food, because there is a high chance of me getting a food-borne illness if I consume raw food. So I'm not gonna be going to no raggedy restaurant where the service only like they even wash their hands. I'm just not doing that. Just not doing that. And we can even see that with some of these celebrity-owned restaurants, because they are trying to nickel and dime everything, and their employees feel it, and the employees don't care. And that's why some of these celebrity-owned restaurants, you know who I'm talking about, have failed health inspections a couple of times, because that's just what it is. Like these folks want to make money at these restaurants, and they will nickel and dime everything to keep their costs down. So that's what it is. This is my rant. I want to get it out. Also, IHOP is trash. I did a video about that a couple of years ago. IHOP is one of the worst breakfast restaurants ever. I used to love IHOP back when I was young. You couldn't pay me to sit down at IHOP, girl. Waffle House, chain restaurant, kind of chain restaurant a little bit, but they use good quality food there most of the time, and I just love Waffle House. It's like the place that's always usually open. Just had some the other day. But tell me what y'all think about Red Lobster, Olive Garden, all these chain restaurants. Which one is your favorite chain restaurant? Mine is Chili's. She will always have a friend with me. But Cheesecake Factory, I'm not eating at no restaurant that menu look like a Bible. Like, it's just way too much. That tells me that y'all got a lot going on, which means the food ain't gonna be that good. But I will eat a cheesecake from there if I'm at the mall. Let me know what you feel about these restaurants in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.